Hi, I'm Kat Bai, and welcome to another episode of Shift Always Happens, where we talk about how women rising in age can continue to step forward, even though society is telling you to step back. So, if you're feeling invisible or overlooked or doubting your greatness, you're in the right place. And let's begin. Today, we're going to talk about the 3 steps to thriving in the corporate space while you're rising in age. Growing older, especially women in corporate, can be a challenge. Now, I've also heard that men experience this phenomenon, but it tends to be they're much older when this happens. Women, it happens earlier, 45, 50. It's almost like we have been put in a box, and once we try to get out of that box, we're like, oh no, no, you've reached the cap. You can't learn anymore. You can't contribute anymore. You need to start figuring out how to fade away. But we all know that as women and as people growing older, there's this challenge with ageism where they believe that suddenly what happens to a few older individuals with regards to, losing a step, Alzheimer's, things of that they just apply it to all folks that are growing older, and that is not the case. So I want to share 3 steps that I think might be helpful to get you on the right track. I was in the corporate spaces for 28 years working in corporate, and then after that working with companies as a marketing consultant for many years. So these are just starting points, but they are very helpful, and they will help you move past a lot of the challenges. So one of the first things that you need to do is to decide to think against the grain and decide that you don't have a premature expiration date. Many times it's forced on us so much that we start talking that talk about expiration date, that we're just not going to contribute. If that's something that you want to do, if you want to stay in corporate, then you need to think differently and say you don't have an expiration date and that you're going to keep contributing as long as you want. Now, one of the ways to do that is to always be learning. You have to be abreast on all the new things that are happening in your industry so you can talk at a different level. So you're not just pulling from your back experience, you're using your experience from the back and tying it into the future from the new things that you're learning. So know the new technologies. Don't say things like, I don't know what this AI stuff is. I don't know this technology that's for young people. What you're doing is that you are putting a cap on what it is that you can learn. Make sure that you are not doing that and that you are learning the new technology, new tools, new whatever it is, and language so that you can incorporate it and augment all your historic successes and experience. So the next thing is to learn a new internal vocabulary. And the best way to do that is to understand that what people are saying about growing older and ageism, keep it outside of you. Because what happens is that you hear it and then you make a decision. The decision point is that, yes, I'm going to agree with what they're saying, and I'm going to start using those same terms to describe myself. I'm going to start calling myself old. I'm going to start making excuses for when I don't know something. And the excuse is that I'm old. What you've done is that you've taken external cues, decided or made the decision, I should say, to internalize them and then use those words. You have to change your internal voice. And when you get to the decision point, when people say things, your decision point must be, I am not accepting that. That is not the definition of how I see myself. And you talk about yourself in a way that is vibrant, that just because you're older doesn't mean that you are decrepit or that you have limits. You just have to change what you do. And so you have to make sure that you're not buying into that vocabulary that is limiting and aging. So you make sure you're talking about yourself in a positive way. You're talking about yourself that's showing people that you have energy, that you are continue to contribute and learn. And then the third thing to do is that you need to be open to new ideas. One of the challenges is that when you're someone who has been in an industry for a long time, you believe, and rightly so, that your experience matters. And when people start bringing in ideas that you've seen come in, crash and burn, you probably might say things like, "Oh, we've done that before. I've seen that a million times. That won't work." And what you're doing is sharing your knowledge, but you're also stifling the energy of new people coming in. And people will start to say, "Oh, they don't know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about something different. They keep living in the past." You don't want to be the one that's living in the past, always saying that we've done that before. So you've got to find a balancing act at how you listen to new ideas, talk about how you've seen things similar in the past, how you worked on those things and what was good and what was bad. And maybe what they're bringing in has a different twist. Ask people to explain it, because the goal is ultimately to ensure that you are achieving the company's goals. So their new ideas may sound exciting, but is it going to save money? Is it going to waste money? Is it going to slow you down? Are things that are they're not thinking about? So you have to find a way. And it's not about suppressing your voice. It's about learning how to say what you need to say without stepping on others. So those three things I have found work really, really well in ensuring that you are moving in the right direction, that you can continue to contribute and grow within an organization. So that's, decide that you don't have an expiration date. Learn to have a new internal vocabulary that supports you and that doesn't pull in the negativity and then you're regurgitating it. And then finally, be open to new ideas and learn how not to be dismissive of new ideas, but still be able to share and contribute your experience in a way that people see it as a guide that they can think about. Well, those are the 3 points I wanted to make that can help you move forward as you are rising in age in corporate spaces. I'm going to be sharing some more ideas. If you apply those three and really think about it, they'll help you get where you need to go and get people to look and think about you differently. I will say the most important is your internal vocabulary and learning not to talk about yourself in any way that's negative with regards to being old. And I'm not talking about joking around with your friends. You joke around with your friends. I do that all the time. There are some challenges to growing older. There are things I can't do that I used to do when I was younger, but you can say it funny with your friends, but be careful how you do that in business, because that can be things that stick in people's mind and can hold you back. So that's my episode for today. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on this, and if you've experienced any of these three things that I've mentioned, and if they're helpful for you going forward. So until next time, this is Kat Bai. Shift always happens. Let's keep creating and contributing until we decide that we want to stop.